Welcome back, everyone. Are you ready to build your own Tetris game? Yes, you can do it. Not sure how? Follow today's video and learn the entire program step by step. We will use HTML, CSS, and JQuery to design this game. This is the basic tutorial, so we will ignore database storage for now. Maybe that's for another video. See the game demo. We will build this together. Subscribe and hit that notification bell before starting. Let's begin. This is a 30-minute long tutorial, so buckle up. Grab some snacks before starting. You can speed up this video if you wish. Check out the gameplay, and after that, let's start coding our own Tetris. As usual, start with a basic HTML template. Change its title to Tetris Game. Then inside the body tag, create a div element with ID help. This is the help or info section of our Tetris game. Users can read it and understand the game controls. The help section will have AH2 heading to show control heading. Below the heading, create unordered list element and create few items as I did. You can change or optimize the section if you wish. For the display of keys in help section, I have used Unicode symbols inside KBD tags. You can search for a ton of such symbols in Google. Create another div element below the help container. Give it an ID called game container. It will become the game board for our Tetris game. Add an h1 tag to display the heading classic Tetris game inside the game container. Also add a canvas element with ID game canvas inside the game container. Continue by give 500 pixel height and width to the canvas. Continue with the style section. Either add an external file or follow me as per this tutorial. I suggest using separate CSS and JS files. In the style tag, add the body selector for styling. Remove any margin with the value 0 and give the body a simple background color. You can also use image background if you like. Next, set flex display with center aligned item and equally spaced justified content. End by giving the body full 100 VH height. Increase the font size of help ID to 18 pixel or more and make it light with pure white color. Set list style none to remove bullets from unordered list items. Then, style the text in KBD tag with a large 40 pixel font size and 600 font weight. Continue with styling the game container. Give it a 20 pixel top margin. Add 20 pixel gray double border with 20 pixel border radius. Align its text to center and give it a white background color. Fix the game container width to 500 pixels, same as the canvas size. End the style with a 10 pixel white drop shadow with 20 pixel blur radius. You can use black for shadow as it also looks good in visuals. Next, we have to style the canvas. It only needs a block display with no margin. The H1 is looking a little small. I have decided to give it a bigger 32 pixel font size. Let's see if it looks good. Okay, the CSS part is done. Continue the code with the JavaScript. We will use JQuery in this project, so add the reference for JQuery version 3.6.4 or latest before end body tag. Below the JQuery reference, create a pair of script tags for custom code or link an external JS file. Although I'll code in same file for simplicity. Start the code by checking if the document is ready and fully loaded. Then, store the reference of canvas element using its ID game canvas inside a constant. Get the 2D context of the canvas and store it in CTX constant. I'll set the default block size to 20. You can tweak it to adjust the block size. Save the rows and columns by referencing canvas height and width divided by the block size. It will provide a clean-looking edge-to-edge game board. Store a blank array in the board constant. Create some uninitialized variables like current piece and interval ID. We will use them later in the functions. Add a variable score and give it an initial value 0. Also create a variable called isPaused with value false to see if game is running or not. After all of these, let's create some shapes for the Tetris game. I'm using binary pattern identifiers to make the shapes. Here ones will be filled and zeros will be left blank, creating different shapes. See and try to understand the shapes and observe the arrangement of rows and columns in the nested binary array. The init function is the first function to be called in our Tetris game. You may start by setting the canvas height and width, although we have made it fixed, so no need for reset here. Call 3 functions: create board, new piece, and draw respectively. Don't worry, we will write them soon. End the function by setting interval ID to set interval method. It will require 2 parameters, one function and another is the delay. Set update as function and 300 or 400 in delay. Adjust this delay to control the falling speed of new Tetris pieces. Now write the code for create board function. It has 2 for loop iterations nested. Together they loop through the row and column. Then set each block position in board to 0. This will create a blank game board. The logic looks big and complex, but trust me, it only cleans the board. After creating the board, write the code for new piece function. Here we will set the current piece with its initial values. I will set half horizontal size -1 in the X position and 0 in the Y position. This will allow the new piece to generate near top center of the game board. Every new piece also requires a shape other than its position, so call a new function to generate random shape for this task. Put an if check after the current piece assignment. The if check will validate that if there's any space left to move down a new piece. We will soon write can move down function to simplify this process. If it's not, then clear the interval ID. Alert the user that the game is over with their total score. And wait, also set some audio in the project. To play audio files, I will write a separate function called playAudio that will take a file name and play it on call. This function will use inbuilt JavaScript audio class to handle audio play. I have already collected a few sound files for this game. The getRandomShape function uses a random number generator using the length of shape array. Use mathFloor method to drop any decimal value, form the random number, and store it in a constant called index. Finally, return the shape at this index to the calling piece. In this way, every time a random new piece will generate in the game. Also set the init function call in the end of script, such that every new function can show visual change if called in the loop. Now write the code for draw function. This function will clear out the initial position throughout the game board using context reference. It will call 4 new functions. These are draw board, draw piece, draw score, and draw paused function. Don't get confused with the similar names. Previous ones were for game logic, and these are for visual display setup. Let's continue. The drawBoard function will handle all the old pieces already dropped in the board. The logic is simple. Write 2 nested for loops. First one for rows and other one is to iterate the columns. Inside the column loop, check for board value in current position. If it has some block, set its color to gray using fill style and create a rectangle using fill rect property. This property requires 4 parameters. First 2 for position X and Y, and other 2 for size and height and width. Combine rows and columns values with block size to create the shapes. Now I'll code the draw piece function. Using the CTX context, set red color in the fill style for each new block. Then, iterate the shape in current piece to get the rows with index. I am using a for each loop for this iteration. The first loop will give single rows in return. Therefore, iterate each row to get the columns and their index. Each row can have multiple columns, and each column is a single block for Tetris game piece. Now for each column or say block, we have to check if it is filled or has a value. Only if the block has data, then set X and Y. Take the current piece XY value and combine it with the row and column index. Use addition for combining. Unfortunately, I've placed asterisk by mistake, and it really caused serious problems. After setting the X and Y values, use CTX context reference to fill rectangle of block size in XY positions. The draw score function is pretty easy. I am using the CTX reference to set the fill style. I'll use gray color for text display. Then use font property to set 24 pixel font size and Arial as font family. Here also I have done a mistake that really took me hours to figure out. Instead of fill rect, I have to use fill text as we have to display text. We are not creating rectangles. So make sure you don't copy my mistakes. Just copy and paste the draw score function body in draw paused function. Change the vertical or Y position to half the height and horizontal position to half the width -40 to set the text near center of the game board. Make sure to use fill text instead of fill rect method, else nothing will be seen in display. Next, we have to complete the update function. It will be called in set interval methods of interval ID. Start by checking if the game is paused. If not, then check if the block can move down by calling the respective function. If it's true, then increase the Y position of current piece by 1. This will create the dropping effect of Tetris pieces. In the else check, call 3 more function respectively. These are place piece, new piece, and clear lines function. End the update function with a call to the draw function. Continue with the can move down function. It is a little complex one. I have used multiple nested comparisons here. In simple words, the function is only checking for blank spaces below it in the game board. If a block or column space is available, then return true, else return false. Follow along to understand the syntax. We will update the Y position of current piece using this function check. Let's continue with the place piece function. It will iterate current piece shape for rows. Then loop through each row to get individual blocks and their index. Once we are inside the loop, check for a valid block and then set X and Y values using the current piece XY position. We have to add it with the current column and row index. After finding the XY value, use it to set the board value to 1 at the XY position. It's not that difficult to understand. Just try to follow the syntax closely. Write in comment if you don't understand something. The clear lines function will remove completely filled lines in the game board. It will also increase the score by 100 for each cleared line. We have to simply loop through rows. Then compare each individual row in the board to see if it's full. Once the function gets a full row, it will remove it from display and shift the rest blocks down. Use the splice method to cut the filled row. Then use unshift method to move the rest of the upper blocks down. Call the play audio function with audio file click wave. At last, we will increment lines cleared variable. We will use it to update the score outside this loop. Okay, I think we should code the key down or key press event listener for the document. I'm using key down, although key press will do the work just fine. The event for key down has a property called which. It usually returns the numeric value for the pressed key in your keyboard. It will give 37 for left arrow key, 38 for up arrow key, 39 for right arrow key, and 40 for down arrow key. We will also need the spacebar in our game. It will have the output of 32. We will use these in switch case comparison and process accordingly. Check for the is paused value and if the block can move left or right for their respective keys. Increment or decrement the X position to move the piece left or right in the board. Complete each section with play audio function call and then break the case iteration. Similarly for the up key call rotate function followed by play audio and break. The down key will call soft drop function if the game is not paused. It will have no sound in this project, but you're free to amend the code if you like. Follow the case check with spacebar, that is 32. It will toggle the is paused boolean. Hence, if the game is live, it will be paused, else it will be resumed with a relative sound. Set blank return or null value return for default case check. Complete the switch case testing and prevent default key down or key press behavior in the end. Let's complete the can move left function next. It will check for the rows and iterate for each columns in the negative direction of the current piece X. If it's blank or have nothing, then return true, else return false. The logic includes combination of empty blocks with blocks left to the current X position in the board array. See the syntax for clarity. Just as left check, we have to write the function to check if the piece can move right. But before that, I will finish the soft drop function. It will check if can move down is true. If it is true, then increase current piece Y value to the available bottom position. In the end, call draw function to redraw the shape reaching the bottom of the board. Back to the move right function. Similar to the left check, it will look for rows in the positive direction of X from current piece X position. We have to combine block check with position of columns. And every column check with the board value at this row and column set. If it has some data, then the function will return false, else we get the true check value. The function codes seem long and complex, yet you can understand it with very little attention. Read and observe carefully. There is one last function left to code. After that, we will debug and fix any issue. The final one is the rotate function. It will change the rows to columns and columns to the rows position of current piece. Although we have to make sure that there is enough room to rotate or change the shape in all direction. Otherwise, the game can break. To make it work, we have to loop through each block in current piece shape. Just by running an inverted loop that is first for a column and then to each row related to it, we can get the swapped positions. Store it in a new row array. Once the loop ends, call the shape with new coordinates or row and column values. It will return a rotated shape from the current shape log. In the end, simply set the current piece shape to the rotated shape and call draw function to redraw it in the game board. Okay, everything is done, but the game is too fast to play. Let's fix it for comfort. Increase the delay and interval ID to slow down the falling pieces. We can also write functions to make this change dynamic on level upgrade, but that's for another session. For now, enjoy the game. The link is given in the description. If you have any suggestion or query, write down in the comment section. I will try to answer as soon as possible. Enjoy the gameplay and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. There's a lot to be done with this game. If you want me work and improve this, let me know. Also suggest what you want to see me code next. Till then, keep coding and thanks for watching.